Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Make Peace with Life podcast. I'm Rob Alex, and I'm your host on this journey of fabulous, amazing energy that we all get to share and love. So, without further ado, let's get started with the show. First of all, I've got my Make Peace with Life shirt on here. I'm not wearing it today. I've got my Sasquatch Syndicate shirt on today. I got this at Alien Con when it came to Dallas. Not too long ago, but Russell Accord was the one that handed me this shirt, and I don't know any of you know Russell Accord, but he's the big guy, big white hair guy on Expedition Bigfoot. Great guy, amazing guy, was super nice, and he gave me this shirt. I don't know if he was associated with Sasquatch Syndicate at that time, but he gave me the shirt, and I thought I'd wear it today. So it's my Sasquatch shirt. As you know, I love all those things, metaphysical, cryptids, those type of things that can't be fully explained. I love those. So that leads me to our first topic today on our show, and it is the mystery of the one shoe. Have you ever been driving along the road and you look across and you see a shoe? One shoe. One shoe. And you look around, you keep thinking you'll see the other shoe, you don't. This is one of the great mysteries of life. It gets right up there with what's the meaning of life? Why do we have consciousness? But why is there always only one shoe on the road? Why? This is one of the biggest questions that I've always wondered myself is why do we only find one shoe in these situations alongside the road? And it makes my brain hurt trying to figure out why it is possible that we could only have one shoe on the road. So things start running through my mind as they always do. And so I start thinking, first thing that pops into my mind is, unfortunately, maybe somebody got hit. That's the first thing that always pops into my mind. Somebody hit, their shoe flew off, ambulance came and picked them up. They only had one shoe on. They carted them off to the hospital or wherever, and they left their other shoe out there. Now, hopefully that's not the answer. Hopefully that is not the answer that is the reason for most of the reasons why we see one shoe on the road. But it's a possibility. It's a possibility because I think of another one as somebody's walking across the road or running across the road and their shoe flips off. And they just, in their mind, they just go, oh, go on without it. Don't worry about it. I'm halfway across the road. My shoe's back there. I'm not going to go back and pick it up, which makes no sense absolutely at all to me. But that's another thing that pops into my head. And I think, why would somebody be running across a shoe, lose one shoe and not the other, and just keep going and not pick it up or not leave the other one, throw it back to the other one? But then my mind even starts to wonder more as I question everything. And I love to question everything, as you guys well know. If you've been listening in on the podcast, the questions are amazing. And I think they are the lifeblood of our life. But I wonder if there's a shoe portal or a shoe wormhole that brings shoes to us. That maybe something happens and these shoes get sucked into a wormhole from another dimension maybe, or from another time. And that was happening. Because this fascinated me today because I was out on my bike ride, as I normally do on a Sunday morning, and I saw one shoe. And this shoe was beat up. It was old. It was dirty. I didn't stop and pick it up, but I stopped and looked at it because I knew I was going to talk about this on the podcast today. And I started looking at it and I thought, could this shoe be from another time frame? Could it be from another dimension or time frame to where there is that wormhole or that portal that is bringing shoes across, and that's why we're only finding one. Now, again, I question, because why only one? When we get shoes, they're in a pair. They're always in a pair. We never buy one shoe. Has anybody ever just bought one shoe? Now, okay, I know some of you are going to be like, oh, a one-legged person only needs one shoe, so why would they get two? But you can't buy them like that. You can't buy a singular shoe, and I might be wrong. Somebody's probably going to prove me wrong on that. But you can't buy a singular shoe. So how, again, even if it's a wormhole or another interdimensional portal, why could there only be one shoe? Is there another dimension that people only have one foot or one leg, and so they only need one shoes, and that's how they sell them in that spot? But that, it just makes my mind work overtime as I'm thinking about why just one shoe. And then I think, is there a task force out there that goes along and picks up these shoes? Because I'll see a shoe out there sitting on the road, one shoe, a couple days I'll go by and it's gone. So I know people aren't just going around picking up shoes, and it's not an ideal situation, because first of all, you don't know whose foot it's been on. You don't know how long it's on there. You don't know how long it's been infested with insects or bugs or all kinds of stuff that it could be. So nobody's just going out there and collecting these shoes. Again, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. So it makes me wonder, is there a task force that's going around and collecting shoes? I know, unfortunately, when animals get hit on the road, there are people that come around and pick those up eventually. But is there a shoe syndicate that's out there that's going around picking up these shoes and making sure they do this? This leads me to another dynamics, because we so often lose socks. And this has been a dilemma. People say that the dryer sucks socks in. Again, socks come in pairs most of the time. I know there was a time there where they were doing the mismatched socks and they were selling them at 3 in a container. But their socks usually come in pairs as well. And we do have a similar issue with socks, but it's a little bit different. We lose the socks in our house. I don't go on my bike rides and I find socks, just single socks out and about. So it makes me think this person is just losing their shoe. They're not losing their sock, they're just losing their shoe. So it makes me, I know this is a silly topic, but it's something that it works on my brain. What is the reasoning why we see the one shoe? And we get back to the socks. The socks, there's people that are convinced that there's a portal in the dryer that takes their socks, things like that. Socks are very easy to lose. They fall off the side of the dryer. I know I've had that happen. I find socks behind the dryer. How they got there, I don't know. But anyhow, socks seem to be a little bit more explainable in the grand scheme of things. But shoes don't logically make sense to me. And is this the universe just telling us that life is not perfect, that you're not going to be able to figure out everything? So we're going to take this a little deeper metaphysical process there, to where we're thinking outside the box and thinking, is there a meaning for this from the universe that's telling us that you're not going to be able to figure this one out? There's not a clear-cut answer for why we only see one shoe. I know some people will throw their shoes up on top onto the power line. It's supposed to be some kind of good luck thing to throw an old pair of shoes up on a power line and get it to stick, and maybe one falls out at a time. But they do it in pairs, and if one fell off, the other one's going to fall off too. So that doesn't make any sense anyhow. But let's get back to the metaphysical aspect of this. And this is just a reminder that life isn't perfect. Answers aren't clear-cut. They're not carved out in stone to where every specific case has the same specific answer. And I think this is one of those areas that it goes into. It's very interesting as to, what it is trying to tell us, what it is trying to show us in this grand scheme of things. Again, I like my time travel shoe loss thing. That would kind of make sense. It might go to 2 different places. In the time travel wormhole or the time travel portal or whatever, the 2 shoes might go to different places. Hopefully it doesn't, the feet are still intact on the person, but I've never found a foot in a shoe. Gosh, I don't want to say that, because I don't want that to actually happen of everything. But it leads me to think, did this happen? Has this been happening throughout history? Since the birth of shoes, are were there in Roman days, were there people, riding their chariots across the roads that they had there, and there were sandals laying, just one sandal laying on the side of the road. In the Old West, did people go out on the trails and find one boot? In that sense, because I mean, at those times, those were items that were not easily replaced. Shoes and boots and things like that were not easily replaced. There wasn't just a store down the street all the time to get those and replace those. So they might have been a little more diligent with them. So I am very curious, as I'm going through this topic with you guys today, of what your thoughts are on why we only see one shoe. I'd love some comments into the show notes here of the podcast to tell me, why do you think that this is one of the great puzzles of our lifetime, is why we only see one shoe on the road? Never a pair, always one. I have yet to see a pair of shoes on the road. And maybe if there is a pair, maybe if there are a pair left and somebody picks them up, because then they have an extra pair of shoes or whatever. But I want to hear your thoughts on this, on why you think that maybe there are only one shoes. Is it a wormhole? Do you feel like there's a specific meaning to this? Does somebody pick up one shoe and throw it across the road so that it can't be found? What are your thoughts on the one shoe, the mystery of the one shoe on the road? Please let me know your thoughts, and I will try to let this go in my head now and move on to our next topic, which kind of coincides with the mystery of the one shoe, but it's being able to laugh at yourself. I have not had any problem with this in my life, laughing at myself. But there are a lot of people that do have problems laughing at themselves, and they don't like it when somebody else laughs at themselves, and they definitely can't laugh at themselves. I have never had that problem. I've been a little bit of a goofball my whole entire life. Done crazy things. I've sought people to try to make people laugh. I've tried stand-up comedy. I like being that person that makes people laugh, cutting jokes, and I always direct those in. So one of my aspects of comedy is that I direct it towards myself. I don't direct it outwards towards other people, because that can really hurt somebody's feelings if you're making fun of them. And it took me a while to learn that lesson, but now I know that, and I direct humor in towards me, to where I try to make fun of myself more than I do other people around me, unless it's a good friend that they're comfortable with and they know who I am and I know who they are. But I try to direct the humor in and try to make people laugh at me. So I am okay with laughing at myself. And I want people to laugh at me, because that's the journey that I'm on and that I want to enjoy. Because I think, there's several reasons people don't like to be laughed at. First of all, it's embarrassing. Somebody laughs at you, so you do something wrong, you stumble, you fall, whatever, and people laugh at you. It can be embarrassing for people. It's not an intentional fall that's bringing this on, or an intentional way of getting the laughter, something that just happened out of the blue. And it can be embarrassing, and some people do not want that attention. Unlike me, some people do not want that attention. And some people are just too serious. They do not laugh at anything. They do not like humor, in fact, and they are just so serious that laughter is not part of their life. So that's another reason why people sometimes find it hard to laugh at themselves. But I think one of the biggest things that helps in being able to laugh at yourself is confidence. Being confident in who you are. And I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm talking about confidence. I know we did a show a while back on the difference between confidence and arrogance. This is not arrogance. Confidence is because laughing at yourself takes you to be comfortable with yourself. It takes you to be making peace with life, in your own life, and to be confident in that. Whatever happens, it's okay. It was a mistake. It happened. I messed up. That's one of the biggest things. And I tell people all the time that I associate with that if I make a mistake, I'm going to own up to it. It's one of the biggest learning lessons in life. But, if I trip or fall, I expect people to laugh, because as I look at it from the outside, it's very humorous in that sense. As long as somebody doesn't get hurt, they're not bleeding, they don't need to go to the hospital, anything like that. But even at those times, I can look back and laugh. I'll tell you a quick story. My oldest son, we used to go bike riding together, and one time I was going to show him how to ride down the stairs at this one place. This a long time ago, and something happened, and it didn't go as planned, and I fell down the stairs, and I'm down at the bottom, and I'm laughing so hard because I'm imagining how it looked just be tumbling down these stairs as I'm saying to my son, "Watch this," and the words that usually precede an accident. but and I remember him coming down and he was telling me to stop laughing because it wasn't funny to him, but it was hilarious to me because I could see it. But you just have to understand we're going to mess up. We are not perfect. Life is not perfect. You're going to do some things that are not going to be the right. You're going to do things wrong. You're going to do things that are humorous in that sense to other people. And hopefully they can become humorous to you, because I think one of that driving force of trying to be perfect and trying to do everything exactly right is one of those dreams that we can't achieve. It'll never be able to do everything perfectly. So you have to embrace those times that you mess up a little bit, and that it cost you a little bit of your embarrassment, if you will, or your confidence that you messed up, and people kind of think it was funny. So, but again, you got to let that ego go with that. You got to let you allow for that laughter, which is a pressure release valve. So let's talk about that for a minute. A pressure release valve. If you keep everything inside and never laugh, never chuckle, never do anything, you're like one of those kettles that is getting ready to blow on the stove. You're going to whistle and be angry and have hot air coming out of you. But with laughter, it's a release valve because it resets us. Laughter resets us, and it allows us to look at things objectively, in my opinion, and to not take life so seriously. So it allows us to depressurize. It allows us to blow off some steam, as we were just talking about the kettle. And you can take some notes from your kids. Watch it go. And if you don't even have kids, go watch some kids sometimes and how they'll just laugh. Yeah. Sometimes they'll get upset themselves as well. But if you just watch a child, sometimes they are the best at laughing at themselves because they don't know any different yet. They don't know that they're not supposed to be. They don't have that search for perfection yet. As they get older, they'll start doing that. But at their young age, they don't have that set for perfection. So they're all the time messing up and learning and growing. So, and I think that's one of the big things when we mess up. And if it's something to laugh about it, because it's a learning process. You're going to learn and you're going to grow. You're going to say, if nothing else, you're going to say, "Oh, better not do that again." And it's that process that keeps us human and keeps us growing and gaining knowledge. Now, some of the humorous things like falling down or something like that, or stepping on something and, busting our behind on the floor might not feel great, but it also is, and is not as big a learning lesson as we would think. But it can also be those little things that add up to be. Humor makes you approachable. If you can laugh at yourself also, people have an easier way of coming to you. Not to make fun of you, not to laugh with you, but it just makes you more approachable. It makes you more likable. I think people that laugh more are more likable a lot of times. And people have that. They enjoy approaching you in that sense because you're not so uptight, you're not so serious in that sense. And laughter benefits our health. I mean, it reduces stress, it releases hormones into our body, it makes our muscles relax or tighten up. I mean, you talk about a good belly laugh, and you talk about how it strengthens our stomach muscles and things like that. So laughter is really good. But it also allows us, this is, I think, laughter is one of those things that is vital to making peace with life. Um, we have to have laughter in our life in some form or another, in my opinion, to find that peace, because we are going to have moments where um, things don't go right. We're going to have moments that are humorous. You're going to have times where you do something so ridiculously silly that you can do nothing but laugh. And that is one of those things that I think if you're able to laugh at yourself, you're going to have a much easier time making peace with life and enjoying all the benefits of life, and not just the ups and ups. I think the laughter helps you appreciate the lows and the downs in that sense, as they're much harder to find at those times, but they can be very, very more beneficial in that. Time helps with laughter. You know, if you do something silly, sometimes you can look back at it years later and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe I did that." But we need to practice laughter in the present as things happen. Don't be so serious. Don't be so caught up on it. If you mess up, laugh about it, laugh it off, let that stress get out of you, and this will help you make much more peace with life. It'll make you be so much more happier in the world, and just laugh. People need to laugh. I mean, it's one of the things as a human that we are gifted with, that we can laugh, and we need to use it to our fullest ability. So keep that going. Last topic for today is the power of conversation. I think conversation is one of the most wonderful things in our life, to be able to talk to one another. I know animals can communicate, but I don't know if they have the same communication ability that we do, the ability to reason, the ability to think, the ability to rationalize things, and that always comes with conversations. And conversations can change your life. I mean, a good conversation can open your mind to many, many different things, and maybe help you see things in a different light. And I think that's, you know, what's important. Now, conversations, we remember some of the biggest conversations in our life all the time. So like, you know, first date conversations, the last conversation we had with somebody, maybe with a relative that before they pass, conversations with family members that are giving you advice. All those type of conversations last with us forever. Coaches, I remember some great coaches, some bosses that I had in my life had given me some great advice. And even from time to time, a stranger will give us some advice that just totally changes the way we think or the way we act. And those can be very powerful, but those are the conversations we remember fully. But we have conversations every day, and they're so powerful because we're able to communicate. It's such a great way to communicate with others and to share this gift of conversation, because we've been doing it long before there were phones, long before there was the internet, long before there was text messages, which are all ways that we communicate now. But a conversation was the beginning one. Since the time of spoken language, we have been able to communicate and to have conversations that change the scope of our life. You know, and there's so many things conversations can do. A good conversation can comfort you. A good conversation can inspire you. It can encourage you. It can help you decide the dreams that you want for your life. All of these good conversations. So powerful is a conversation. We have great conversation with our friends. We have romantic conversations with our partners. We have great conversations with our kids, and we teach them things, and hopefully they learn from us in that sense. But I think one of the biggest things with conversation that people often forget is that listening is an important part of a conversation. A conversation is flowing back and forth two ways, but it's important that you listen to the other person. I know some people that half listen to conversations, And so it throws them off when they take that conversation and they take bits and pieces of it and don't put it into the full context and then try to share it with somebody else. You get this, like that game of telephone, where it's not quite the same conversation or the same learning that they had in the conversation because they didn't take the time to listen. They wanted to butt in. They wanted to express their point in the middle of somebody else talking. So I think it's very important for all of us out there to take a step back when we're having a conversation and take the moment to listen to the other person. Let them get their thought out before you respond. Then take a deep breath and respond to what they thought. Make a mental note of what you wanted to say and wait till they're finished, because once you start interrupting a conversation, sometimes you block the flow of what they were trying to say, and they might be having an important point to get off their chest and to make things better for them so that they can share it with you. A great conversation spark, curiosity. They make you think. They make you dive deeper into the way you feel, dive deeper into challenging things in your life. Conversation is one of the best tools that we have for so many reasons. Again, like you learn things at work, you learn things at school. If you don't have that conversation, I know everybody's had that person in their class at school that asked a million questions, asked question after question after question. And we usually get ticked with them, but they were helping us gain knowledge too, because we were listening in on that conversation and we were learning. Even though we might know the answer, we might hear something else about it that is something to build upon within our own mental capacity there. Conversation is foreplay for our mind. So we think of foreplay, and unfortunately we put it in a sexual term a lot of times, but it is not. Foreplay is a prelude to something. So a great conversation is like foreplay to energy, excitement in your brain in that sense. And yes, it can be romantic in that sense too. Your conversations can be very romantic and spark a lot of things. I know Monica and I have some great conversations, and it really connects us in an amazing way. So we're partners, or we're husband and wife, and we enjoy that. We enjoy the part of the conversation that it can, in the way it connects us. But you can connect that way with your friends too. You can connect that way with your fellow workers. That connection is incredible. The way a conversation can connect us. A great conversation can change somebody's day. It can change their year. It can change their life in that sense. Conversation has a powerful energy that comes along with it. And I think we too often think of a conversation as just something that happens. And it's more than that. It's a deeper connection between two people or between a group of people. In which that's another aspect, when a group's having a great conversation, and if everybody's taking their turn getting in there and listening in between, it can be a marvelous thing, a brainstorming session, or that can be a way that major things happen is you get 5 or 6 minds working together and conversing about things. That's the way some great things have appealed in our world. So that's my take on conversation. Super important. So important that I even wrote a book about it. Now, this is more of a relationship book, but it's called The Sexy Art of Conversation. It's available on Amazon. You get it. It's a relatively short book, but it talks about the things that I'm talking about here today, how important conversation is, how much conversation connects us. So please go check out this book. And as always, make sure to check out the Make Peace with Life book over on Amazon as well. I've read through this one twice already. Great things in there. And even as I reread it, even though I wrote it, there's more that it's going to. And at some point, I'll probably do a second version of that because I love the concept of it so bad. As always, go get your shirts. We're doing some author shirts now as well, so you can check those out on our Etsy shop. But big thing is subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. So do that. But we're not done. We're not quite done yet. We have to fill our energy pool. So for those of you that are just turning in for the first time, we have a metaphoric, what we call an energy pool, where everybody dumps great energy into it. And then those people listening that are having some struggles or having some challenges can dip into that energy pool and pull out some of the energy from all the people putting it in there to help them with whatever they're struggling with at this day. So what we do is we take about 20 seconds here. We sit quiet. Everybody imagines filling this pool with their energy. And now remember, you have plenty of energy, so don't hold back. Energy is a renewable resource, so our energy is anyhow, our positive energy is renewable, so we can keep putting it in there and so that people can have it if they need it to use. So, and some people, when they get down, they don't know that they have that energy. They don't feel that energy in themselves. So let's do that for a second. You might hear the ice cream man outside. I can hear his little music being played. So we're going to sit here for a minute and listen to the ice cream truck go by and fill our energy pool. And as we're doing this, I can feel all the great energy coming in, flowing in, flowing in, flowing in, flowing in. And I can feel some of you out there dipping your toes in, dipping your hands in, getting some of that energy. Take as much as you need. We're here, we're a community, we're here to help each other make things great and make things wonderful. So the last thing, I always put a song of the day out. Music is so important to me. As I put my Red Hot Chili Peppers Unlimited Love album cover up over there. But today's song is an oldie but a goodie. It's from the Turtles from 1967. 6-7, I know. I don't know what this means, but everybody does it. So every time I say 6-7, everybody starts doing this. I don't know why, but whatever. Maybe it'll pass with time. But from 1967, the Turtles, the song Happy Together. It's an oldie and a goodie. It's an easy song. It's a feel-good song. It's a great song for couples, for lovers, for just anybody, just to get that happiness rolling again. Now, if 67 might be a little too old for you, the Flowbots did a version of it in 2008. That's a little different, a little more upbeat, a little bit more modern, if you will. So you can check that out if you want as well. And again, make sure, check out as much Make Peace with Life as you can. We are here. We're going to be here every week to help you out, barring anything happening. So go out there, see if you can find those shoes on the road. Send me messages of why you think we only find one shoe all the time on the road, and I'll love to hear the input that everybody gives to that. If I get some great input, I will share it back out with everybody with the messages from those people. Also, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, share the podcast. We want to get as many people as we can listening so that everybody can make peace with life, because that is why we are here, to make this peace with life.